My name is Greg, United States Marine Corps veteran, here on Veteran Inc. to share the story behind my military tattoos. My military tattoos are a combination of a tribal with some Old English writing on the top. This is Semper Fidelis, which is the Marine Corps motto for Always Faithful. And then the one on my forearm is the 1st Marine Division logo, battle worn with my unit designation that I went to combat with. The whole idea behind my tattoo is to remind me of the pride that I have in what I did. The pride that I have in being a Marine, and the stress and the amount of resiliency. So it helps remind me of that. It helps remind me of the resiliency that I've gone through and stuff, and I look at it every once in a while, and the comments people, when they ask, what does this mean, what does this mean? It helps me to explain to them that not all Marines are just natural born killers, but some of them have a heart that is based on a moral character and a moral foundation, and that we are battle worn. Even those who haven't seen combat still come back changed people. And that's what my tattoo represents, is a little bit of the changes that went on when I was in there. I got my tattoos because at a certain time in my life, not during the Marine Corps, but after, I went through some traumatic stuff, and it just seemed like a good way to give myself a sense of identity. I've never had any tattoos, so it took me a while to decide what I really wanted. And after you're out for a while, you kind of get nostalgic, and you feel like you want a sense of what you did to be indelible. Not that I didn't remember it, but I wanted something that I could be proud of and kind of show other people. So, I mean, you're nervous when you get your first tattoo. That's the way it was, but I think the nervousness was overridden by the sense of just, putting something on my body that I was really proud of. Nobody pressured me into doing it. I wasn't doing it because a bunch of other guys were doing it, so it was a well thought out decision for me. It really meant something to me to get them, and I think the design that I picked and everything made sure that I was okay with it. I went over it for a while. I didn't just off the cuff just get a tattoo. My military experience was, I don't know if it's typical or average, it's mine. I went into the Marine Corps I signed up when I was 17, delay entry program for a year, went in right when I turned 18. Didn't even graduate high school. I mean, I graduated, but I went in 3 days before my class graduated because of the delay entry program mix-up. So I didn't walk with my class. So while I was in boot camp, all my class was graduating high school. It was, I want to say it was typical for a Marine. Go through boot camp, go through my MOS training. I was a grunt, infantry, 0351. From that point, I was assigned to my first fleet unit, which was 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, weapons company. And then we were broken down into what's called a CAT team, which is pretty unique. It's a combined anti-armor team. We were in Humvees with weapon systems on the vehicles. And that was a dream come true. I wanted to do what Marines do, which is fight. And I was assigned to a really, really, really good unit. I served with a lot of really good guys. And in that time, I learned a ton about myself, a ton about other human beings, Marines. And in our first deployment, that's when we went overseas to the Middle East. We were still at the tail end of the first Gulf War. And then from that point, we trained in Kuwait for quite a bit. And then we were assigned to go down to Somalia in Operation United Shield. And with that, we withdrew all the UN troops. We were the first amphibious landing since Korea, under duress, under combat circumstances. We went ashore in El Kak and spent 72 hours there under fire, and basically earned our blood stripes, if you will. Nobody got hurt. We didn't shed any blood on our side, but that experience in that time, guys grew up really fast, and we were 19 years old in the middle of another country getting shot at. And I know there's a lot of different stories of guys doing that, but when you come back, you don't even realize what you did until you're out, and then you kind of settle down from it. So my experience was everything I could ask for, and probably then some, because I didn't realize how much I would learn about myself when I was a Marine. A person that was pretty influential for me joining was a friend of mine, I call him a brother, in high school. His name's Andy Nichols. He had his stuff together, and theoretically, he should have been college bound. I was not college material, he was, but we were best friends. We did everything together, and we went in on the buddy system. And him and his brother kind of influenced me in the sense that other options that I had to go in the military weren't even options once they talked about the Marine Corps. That was it. I just wanted to go in the toughest one, and I wanted to have something that I could carry with me with pride for the rest of my life. I think everybody has a different reason for why they want to go in. I think everybody kind of thinks at the first set, hey, I'm going in so I can get my college, so I can get my free college, my GI Bill. But what they learn about themselves outweighs the benefits, in my opinion, of a college education right out of high school, because there's a lot of things the military will teach you that college could never teach you. I don't care how educated you get. Life was a struggle. When I got out of the Marine Corps, life after the military was difficult. The transition assistance program that they provide for you is nowhere near sufficient to recondition your brain to think like a civilian. Even though we were civilian for 18 years before we went in, I was only in for 4 years, but the amount of change and transformation that took place in my brain far outdid my civilian life at that point. So coming back in and trying to reintegrate with people who had no sense of urgency to do anything, or people who had no real pride in anything they really did, was hard to deal with. And so also going from a career of demolitions and heavy machine guns and driving, heavy vehicles, coming back out to a place where people really didn't have a sense of people seemed delicate, if you will. The camaraderie in the Marine Corps is pretty rough, but it's earned, if that makes sense. We team up, and you earn that ability to rag on the guy next to you, and he earns that ability to rag on you. When you get into the civilian world, if you try to rag on somebody, they start crying and get upset about stuff. And the hard part about that is we're not trying to be jerks, it's just all we knew. And so trying to transition into, I don't want to call it a softer environment, but it's a less understanding environment of what we just did. And so it takes years. It took me a good 10 to 15 years to try to figure out how civilian life is, how I'm supposed to integrate into civilian life. And without without certain friends around to help me figure that out, I'd have been in a real bad place. Right now, what I do for a living, I own my own business. I own a carpentry business. I make furniture, I make cabinets, I make curio boxes, I make all sorts of, I make American flags. And so I started that business after I've had so many careers. I've learned so many different things getting out, because I didn't want to be stuck with just one thing and one expertise.